Hello, Jane Madej here, and today I'm going to show you my method for painting these cute mushrooms that you can add to your journals. The supplies I'm going to be using today are acrylic wash paints. I have scarlet, yellow, beige, light blue, and titanium white. Now, when you're choosing a white for mixing, choose an opaque white like titanium white. If you use Chinese white, that is a transparent white, so your mixes will not be opaque pastel colors. I am also using Archer and Olive Acrylograph pens. Here I've got different shades of browns and blues and reds, as well as an opaque white. I also have Archer and Olive gel pens in assorted colors. And you'll need a pencil and an eraser. This is an Archer and Olive mechanical pencil, and you'll need a paintbrush. So to start with, what we're going to do is we are going to sketch out our mushrooms on the page. I'm using an Archer and Olive Neapolitan notepad. These are pads where you can tear out the pages easily, so you can paint or draw your design and then cut it out and put it in your journal. I think that's a nice way to do things if you're nervous about messing your painting up at all, because you can just start over again without damaging your actual journal. So when I draw these mushrooms, think of them as being curved. I've got a cup and I've got the stem. Make your designs curved and they will look more lively and energetic and interesting on your page. If your designs are all straight up and down, and I know that's really tempting when you have these nice dot lines, but if you make your illustrations straight up and down, they look static and kind of boring. So this mushroom has a little frill at the bottom. Let's erase the pencil lines. There we go. And now the other one is kind of saucer shaped. So you draw a saucer like that. And then it has a nice long stem. It goes down, and the frill is kind of at the bottom, and then it's got this little ball underneath. So you can kind of refine your shapes, get them the way you like them before you go to the painting stage. So let's make that a little different. Make everything a bit more curved. So that's why we do everything with a pencil first, because you can erase it and refine it. Let's make this stem a bit longer. Make everything the way you want it. Okay, now I'm going to have white dots on this mushroom, so let's draw those in to start with so we can just paint around those. And if you forget, that's absolutely fine, because we're working with opaque colors, so you can just draw your white dots on top of the red once the red paint is dry. So let's start by filling in the paint there. Normally I would erase the pencil lines quite a bit so they were very faint before I go to the painting stage, but I want you to be able to see what I'm doing as well as possible. So we'll just fill this in. The reason I chose to use paint for the base color stage is because these drawings are really quite large. And if you try and color a really large area with a paint pen, most likely it will get quite streaky. So for something like this, I do the base layer with paint, If you're going to do them straight in your journal and excuse me, and have them be quite small, then you can use just the paint pens and skip the paint. So we've got that one with a nice red. Let's get the top of this one with a nice red. There we go. And this one is going to be light blue. There actually are toadstools out there that are this beautiful light blue. I saw a photograph of them and I just really had to paint them because it was just so pretty. So here is a mixture of blue and titanium white that we will use. So we'll paint the cap there like that. So now we want these guys, the caps, to dry a little bit before we do the stems. So let's just blow them with the dryer. Let's smooth this one out a little bit while it's still kind of damp. Sometimes the paint kind of puddles and makes uneven areas. So for the stems, I've got the beige color of the paint. And let's go ahead and fill in those stems. Just like this. And we'll do, that one's still kind of wet on the edge. I might have to blow that again. But here we go. Here we go. We don't want the paint too thick on there. Otherwise, the layers that we put on top, they don't sit right. If the paint is too thick, then it's kind of sticky and plasticky. So we'll do that. And for this toadstool, I'm going to add more white to my blue mixture and just make the stem a lighter color. One of the nice things about drawing toadstools and mushrooms is that in nature there are so many different shapes and colors that really you can do whatever you want and there will be a mushroom that looks like that. So you can use your imagination, get creative with it if you want to, and chances are somewhere out in the world there will be a mushroom that looks just like that. So let's blow it really quick again. And we'll do the last, we'll do the underside under here. There we go. Okay, so the next step that we want to tackle is shading. And I'm going to show you a couple of different ways that you can use the acrylograph pens for that. So here I've got my dark red. The acrylograph pens, the box comes with a blending palette, and that is something that is very handy to use. You can make a puddle of color on the palette and pick that up with a brush, just like regular paint, or you can color directly onto your drawing on the page. So what you can do, here's, if you're going to draw directly on the page, you can just go and color just like you want to color. And while that's a little bit wet, what I like to do is take my brush and just smooth that edge out a little bit. like that. So you can do it that way, or you can, let's see if you can see this, color a puddle like that onto the palette, pick it up with the brush, and paint it in like that. Either way gives you a nice painted effect. Now, if you don't want to use a paintbrush, another way you can do it, if we're going to do the shading on these stems, is I've got my light brown color here, and you can just color with it. Just color like this. On top, you can make little lines like that, or little scribbles like that. You can just make little line work shading like that. Or let's see, on this one I think I am going to smooth it out with the paintbrush. But you can see you could just leave it like that if you wanted to. So let's just get the paintbrush and smooth it out just a little bit. And we'll do under, whoops. Sometimes you kind of have to dab the paint pen up and down a little bit to get the paint flowing again. So we'll draw that. And we'll draw the underside of the frill like that. So when you're doing your shading, you need to make sure you figure out which side the light is coming from, so you keep it consistent. So for me, the light is coming from this side. This is where the sun would be, so the shadow is on this side, and we'll keep that consistent. So I've got a darker blue here. Make sure that's started, and we will draw that on this mushroom like this. These pens just make it so easy. They're really good if you want to travel, take your journal out and about with you. They are just a very convenient way to get a nice painted look. So we'll do the frill. And under the frill, down the stem, keeping all the shadow on the right side of the page. Okay, so now it's time for the next stage, which is the highlight stage. And you can do it two different ways. You can use either the titanium white, or I have the white paint pen. So for the dots, I think I'm going to clean those up with a little bit of actual paint rather than the paint pen. Just make those look a bit, the edges a bit better. There again, the reason I'm using paint is because this is quite a large area. So we go like that. And one more. So now what we have is the white acrylograph pen, and I'm going to make a little bit of a yellow highlight on this mushroom. If you add more colored highlights than just white, there again it gives a bit of warmth and life to your drawing and makes the colors just a bit more interesting. So we'll just blend that yellow a little bit like that. So now I've got my paint pen, and let's make sure that it's working. Here we go. So I'll draw a highlight like that, and a highlight like that. You can blend them if you want to. We need a highlight on this side of the cup. Put a little highlight there. Oh, look at how it's blending into the yellow. I always think it's kind of interesting when something like that happens. And we've got the stem and the frill. Here we go. You can blend that if you want to, or leave it a hard edge. I think a hard edge looks a bit shinier. And so let's do one on this guy. Here we go. And another highlight like that. So I'm going to blow it with the dryer again, and then we are going to use some gel pens for adding details. So what we can do, we've got all these different colors of gel pens. Let's start with, you can even draw a little swatch to make sure you know what color you're getting. So we're going to start with this dark red, and we'll do an outline around the cap of the mushroom. You can skip this stage if you want. Not everybody likes to outline their drawings, but I kind of like how it looks. And so we'll draw one there. And let's switch to the blue and do this blue guy here. Like that. You can even use it, you know, if you want to add some little sort of line details like that, you can do that with the pens. Like that. And then we're going to get the brown one. Let's test this color, make sure it's the right color. And we'll do the outline there. And around here. Here we go. If you have your acrylic paint too thick, sometimes the pens don't want to draw on top of it. That's kind of what was happening there, but usually it does. And if it'll work, let's draw these toadstools. A lot of times they have ridges underneath, and you can see how I changed the direction of the ridges so that it looks like it's going around the mushroom. And there you have it, some cute mushroom drawings that you can cut out and put in your journal. I hope you enjoyed that, and we'll see you again next time.